Thank you so much to the REDS Conference 2021 for the invitation. Really what I'm going to be speaking about today, I'm Sandy Sparks, and today, although I run a portfolio career, I work part-time on a fixed-term contract working on this program for MI Talent. So firstly, I wanted to the topic of the conversation is really around researchers or technicians and technical staff contributing to the whole research environment. And up to now, they've been very invisible and hoping that they will change to become more visible. Three things I'm going to be covering in the talk, and it links very much to the topic of what we wanted to cover in the REDS conference thematic area around making cultural changes. So the first thing is giving you some heads up, some information on the actual context in which technicians and technical staff work and how they support research and researchers, highlighting some useful publication, toolkits and resources, but also looking at how this is relevant to researcher, developer, career developers, OD, as well as interested people. When we think about the technicians and the technical staff, who are they? I think one thing is to highlight is they're a diverse group of people. They've got diverse roles. You've got generalists, experts, you've got specialists. You also have people who've gone down the management route. They may be undertaking research and or named on a bid or a grant where their time is bought out. They may be undertaking education or teaching in the labs or supporting, as well as managing a lab, or also working with industry partners or collaborators. So when we think, why is this important? I think firstly is to be well aware of the technician's commitment. Secondly, some of the charters, the Concordat that supports the career development of researchers, as well as the Race Equality Charter. Thinking also of Athena Swan and linking to today, some of the talks, particularly the plenary, around that equality, diversity and inclusion. Thinking about how we can relate this to technicians and technical staff who support the research. And finally, looking at those funding opportunities and particularly the changes that have happened. UKRI, and in most recently, an example, if you've seen on Twitter, BBSRC acknowledging that technicians are able to be co-eyes on future funding, small equipment bids of under £1 million. So just really being aware of the context in which we operate. I think it's also important to think about that national, international and local area and that need for technicians. And I will be giving you some statistics as I continue to talk. But also many institutions talk about meritocracy, inclusivity and diversity. And for me, it's the culture change that needs to take place. We've done a lot, but what more could we actually be doing? So if we think about it, so this is some research done by the National Technician Development Centre. Also STEMM-CHANGE put together some research. And mainly some of the highlights of this research are really things like the majority of technicians are male, 58%. The majority of technicians with managerial responsibility or positions are male. 41% of technicians are female, and just 32% of technical managers are females. And this is across all disciplines, even in disciplines where females outnumber males. 84% of technicians are white, with just under 10% of technicians from a BAME perspective or ethnicity. The sector has a challenge of an aging technical workforce and fewer women in leadership positions. So something needs to be done. The technicians' commitment was led by the Science Council. It's approximately 91 universities who've signed up to this, and many of these institutions are represented here today. Some of the aspects was very much around the 4 areas of greater recognition and visibility, of greater recognition, first. Secondly, visibility, looking at career development as well as sustainability, and that need to safeguard those vital technical skills. I think one of the most striking statistics is that there's more than 1.5 million technicians currently working in the UK, and it's expected to rise around 70,000 each year. And this is a challenge, as I said, with an aging workforce. So what have the institutions done? And particularly now, I wanted to talk a little bit about MI Talent and what it is. So MI Talent, its purpose is to very much focus on advancing the status as well as the opportunities for technical roles, skills and careers in UK higher education and research. It was often looking at those specialist skills needing to develop and to support individuals and to highlight role models. It's a consortium of 8 research institutions, and they're listed here. The funding was a £3 million grant, but also additional funding was from those consortium members as well as key partners. The 4-year project, we're in the 2nd year of it. It's about building an understanding of the future requirements of technicians in the UK higher education sector. It's about working collaboratively to advocate and to deliver change in culture and raising the profile of technical careers and skills and the contribution that they make to research, but also the pathways, the possibilities and the options. MI Talent is involved in delivering a program of training and development to support approximately 2,100 FTEs in the 8 partner institutions initially, but there are some initiatives that are open more widely to the UK as well as nationally and internationally. It's really about advocating and ensuring technical careers are supported, developed, respected, and ultimately aspired to, so that they're options. It covers 3 thematic areas around technical skills for the future. It's around driving cultural change. A lot of work's been done, but more to be done. And the career development aspects of supporting learning and development. So these are some of the sort of initiatives that are there to support the technicians with those objectives. It's around some of the funding. It's also around peer-led learning for technicians via knowledge cafes and communities of practice, and also looking at the Higher Education Technicians Summit. We did the light version, which was online, and then the face-to-face one, which will be in November. Also thinking a little bit about some of the training programs. What makes it quite unique is that it's an inter-institutional opportunity for technicians to network, to build confidence, to share their lived experience. It's also the opportunity to support partner institutions. It's not to replace what already exists in those universities, but to either to reduce duplication, to fill gaps, or to allow something quite unique. It's around co-creating the initiatives. It's around helping to facilitate an exchange of training programs, some of the soft skills, and looking at the 3 thematic areas. So that's really the context in which we're operating. And secondly, what I wanted to share with you were some of the resources, the research, and the toolkits. And these are some of the examples that currently exist. So the first document, the Equality, Diversity and Inclusivity, the Technician's Lens. This focuses on recommendations and statistics, but also recommendations for the sector as well as for the institution. The second article or second booklet is around funding, starting to think about what are some of the costs, those direct allocated, those indirect or directly incurred, faculty charges and facility charges, and estates and indirect charges, and starting to also highlight what's on the horizon. The third one is starting to recruit diverse technical workforce, and this is about creating a checklist, a tool to support people. And at the HETS conference on the 10th of November, we will be sharing the actual aspect, and I know this was mentioned in the plenary, is the how to do this. What are the things we can do? And it's about sharing practice. It makes part of the discussion is as part of a series of workshops that we're running on valuing inclusivity, valuing diversity and increasing inclusivity. But there are also some additional resources on that page. Really, just some of the upcoming things is that there will be a Herschel National Program for Women, which is launched in 2021 in October. We're also looking in November the role of technical staff in knowledge exchange, and a commissioning report and recommendations to institutions starting in February, being launched in February 2022, as well as other resources and publications. Starting to think about the third aspect was, so how is this relevant for us as career developers, OD developers, those people working with technicians, technical staff, and researchers? Firstly, it's that opportunity of funding, and that people are able to be PIs, named on publications, acknowledged, actually being able to be PIs on funding, particularly with UKRI. It's around that idea of collaborations and attributing people in journals, in articles, and in publications. Thinking about skills, knowledge, and experience, and developing that. And finally, thinking about the roles, the different roles that I mentioned, whether it's teaching, research, whether it's experts and generalists, whether it's about management, but also thinking very much about it is an alternative option where maybe people are interested in doing research but don't want fixed term contracts, that there's sometimes tenure or permanent jobs, that there's job security where people are still able to work in the labs but still continue to do research. And then finally, really thinking about what we can do. 5 things that we can do. We can change the perceptions and the relationships. We can invite technicians to sit at the appropriate committee meetings, not only health and safety, a valuable contribution maybe to a teaching committee. We can increase awareness. We can make a behavioral and a cultural change. And we have started to do this, but more is being done. To develop, to support, to measure, and to evaluate the impact of learning and development initiatives. And then finally, as I've hopefully done in the presentation, sharing some of the practice, some of the resources as just a highlight. And these resources are available with the presentation. These are ways that you can engage with MI Talent and some of the initiatives, and really just to say thank you